Our 13th award is the Walter and Betsy Cronkite Scholarship, sponsored by Daimler and supported by CBS News. The winner is Rebekah Ward of Colombia, the university, who wrote about how the peace deal in Colombia, the country, created a power vacuum in some remote regions, leading to yet more violence. We are sending her to Mexico City with Reuters. Presenting is Al Ortiz, Vice President of News and Standards at CBS.
I find it inspiring, as one who's been in the business for a long time, that we're being succeeded by these brilliant young people who are smarter, better educated, and speak more languages than we did when we started out. Rebekah, on behalf of all CBS News, I congratulate you on receiving the Walter and Betty Cronkite Scholarship Award. In the brief time I've had to get to know Rebekah, I can see that she has the curiosity, the passion, and the empathy to do great and important journalism ahead. Congratulations.
Let's see if I'm the right height for this. All right. So I spent the better part of my 20s, I am getting on up there, developing an expertise in human rights in every way I could. And that doesn't mean just focusing on the stories of people. It means looking at the money. It means looking at the politics. It means looking at the environmental factors. And figuring out how I would be able to do this thing called journalism that I always had somewhere in the back of my mind that I wanted to do. This past year, I had the opportunity to work for France 24, based out of Bogota, Colombia. And I felt, especially at the end of that year, that I'd finally figured out how to combine those things and do the kind of reporting that I hoped to do. So I was given this kind of incredible opportunity by my editor to go to the Pacific coast of Colombia. My editor, who's a veteran reporter in Colombia, so I was even more impressed, to cover whatever I felt like covering on the situation in the Pacific coast of Colombia. And what I saw was, what I ended up in the middle of was many stories, most of which had to do with the implications that the absence of, named absence of the FARC guerrilla group in that part of Colombia has had, and the absence of state in the region. So I reported this documentary, my first long-form documentary that I've ever put together, and I came back and I cut it, and then I was leaving Colombia to come back to New York. I had a couple weeks left that I was going to kind of breathe, and I decided that I couldn't do that because there were stories that people started to tell me and I didn't have the chance to hear the end of them. So instead, I got on a plane and I went back to Guapi, which is a town near the Pacific coast of Colombia, and I went back to the source who, when I had the brief period of time to speak to her during the shooting of the documentary, seemed like she had so much more to tell me. And I asked her what else she had to tell me. And she started to talk about the femicides and the violence against women that has been allowed to continue to permeate that part of the country in the vacuum of power that was left when the FARC guerrilla group was entered into the peace treaty in 2016. I kept on talking to her, and then she asked me, do you want to actually talk to the people that are affected by this? Do you want to get in a boat and travel up the river and meet them? And of course I said yes, because all of us, I think, in this room would say yes. And I think that experience, being able to get even deeper into that story, I'm still figuring out where to publish it. I think I have some more reporting to do, but following my gut and going back to the stories that I feel like aren't completely told yet is what I hope to do throughout my career. I am incredibly grateful, especially having worked in Colombia this year, to have the chance to go to Mexico City. I think that my interest in the connections across the Americas, financial, social, in every aspect, are becoming more and more interesting to me because we're not silos. And I think that that's an advantage of the journalism that we're seeing today. That we're not reporting on places like they're silos anymore. And I'm incredibly grateful to the OPC Foundation for giving me this opportunity, and to Daimler for funding it. I hope to be able to make the best use of this that I can. Thank you.